Welcome back to the Reconcile Room podcast. We're your host, Ezekiel.
Caleb.
And Kimmy.
In sign language, that's... Good job. All right, what's our question for today?
That's okay.
If there's... Well, I'm going to go off of what you just said. What's a language you want to know? That's it. Like, what's a language you want to know? I've been doing Duolingo recently, and I really want to learn fluent Spanish. But I took it for 7 years.
Yikes.
I'm not that fluent in Spanish.
My answer is Igbo, which is my language in Nigeria.
What is it?
Igbo.
Can you spell that?
Igbo. Or IBO, depending on spelling.
Is it like what does it sound like?
I mean,
He doesn't speak it. He wants to speak it. That's
I want to. Yeah,
It just
You
sounds
don't
like...
know anything?
Not
in
in,
that
not
language,
in
like-
an
though?
offensive way, but it's one of the languages that you can usually... Like, when you have, like, a group of, like, African different countries, people that speak different languages, I feel like Igbo is, like, more one that's recognizable. Like, when you know it, you just be like, oh, like, that's Nigerian. That's a Nigerian.
You think that's true?
I would say... No, don't...
There's
I would say
so
I know
many
more about dialects than Caleb, but... Why does he take everything so serious?
Because you just said something crazy, bro.
How's that crazy? You think you know more about dialects and languages than I do?
Nigerian dialects and languages? Because you just made a claim about Nigerian languages and dialects.
I made a claim about Africa as a whole, but
Do
specifically
you know
that
how
you could
many
pick up.
languages there are in Africa,
Yes,
bro?
a crazy ton.
Yeah.
So you don't know a single word from that language, though?
I mean, like, Atutoma, Gajifo. Like, these
It
are
sounds
greetings.
Hawaiian.
Like, Kedukwano. How you doing?
How you doing? Okay.
You tell
like-
me that you
Is
tell
that
me
a
that's
language
not
on
true.
Duolingo?
No, it's not.
Oh, so you really can't learn it
You
No.
can.
easily.
I can,
You
but
can.
like,
Does
I
your
have
dad
to-
speak it?
he does.
Yeah.
Dang, he
His
should have.
his family's like
raised you
Nigerian,
guys
Nigerian.
the way where you
They
like.
try, but it's hard.
Oh.
It's hard.
Because it's not like they're going to school and they can
But then
like
you
if he was
usually you do
raised
the
on
foreign
Spanish, he could
language
constantly
though.
talk to family in Spanish. Then
My
he would
mom
go.
also doesn't really speak it. So
Then
that
he would go
if
to
she
school.
did, then I'm sure I would have known it if my mom
Mhm.
spoke it too. But
But like they teach him that at home and
But then
nowhere
what
in
if
the
you just
real world
only
would you ever
talk to
speak
your
that.
dad though
Okay, all right, I'm
in
done.
the language?
oh yeah,
I don't know.
maybe.
Zeke,
Alright.
what's yours?
Let's see. Well, my goal is I speak 4 languages fluently, but I really want to be able to speak a 5th just because 5 is a better number. No, I'm kidding. I don't. Language. I don't know. I really want to be able to speak French fluently, but at the same time,
French.
yeah, French is one of the top languages in the world. It's also fun to speak, in a lot of cool cultures and places, even in Africa.
Bro wants to sound
Like-
romantic.
Je suis, je m'appelle Kimmy.
That's
I don't know how to say that. That's all I know.
that's awesome.
Learned that on the bus.
Qu'est-ce que
Third
tu en
grade.
fais?
Bien.
First of all, wrong language. Second of all, wrong response. Anyways, yeah,
Oh.
I'll probably say French. I love speaking not speaking. I love signing. I love sign language.
Speaking
I had an
of
opportunity to sign to somebody this past weekend, but nobody told me until afterwards. Like we were doing this stuff, giving this stuff out for Bubbler, and there was this guy that apparently came up to the table and he was trying to communicate with one of the other people, and they didn't really understand him or couldn't tell or whatever. And then I see him at the end, and I think because they didn't know how to sign or they didn't sign, he just assumed all of us didn't. So then he was just like not saying anything, and I just thought that maybe he was just like he genuinely couldn't speak. Like maybe I don't know. I thought he just couldn't speak.
Yeah.
I didn't know that he was deaf and could sign, but if they had told me, then I would have been able to sign with him. I love signing with people, but it's not that often that you come across deaf people. I probably only come across like 4 or 5, like in my whole college career. 2 at Target, 1 just in the wild, and then 1
What's
in
going on
Mall
at
of
Target,
America.
bro?
Well, just
Do
Target
they
is
do
a
the
very
same
popular
thing
store.
though? Do
What?
do they communicate the same way where they're like, oh, I'm deaf?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, there are slang to it. BSL is a popular thing that like Black people started to like really push for, but it's pretty much the same.
Black sign language.
It's a whole. You didn't know that?
What?
I've never heard of that.
Never
Yeah.
heard of
So
that.
so there's American Sign Language, Black Sign Language is American Sign Language, but like literally pictured as just like way slangier. They wanted to add more character. Guys, I'm serious. They wanted to add more character to it. So when people speak BSL, it's usually a lot more animated and a lot more. I don't know really how else to describe it besides a lot more animated and a lot slangier. It's a really
You learn something new
yeah. It's a real thing.
every day.
Wow.
Like if somebody were to
Thanks for
come to
sharing.
me and communicate to me in BSL, I probably would not understand a lot of stuff they're saying Kind of just like how like people who speak Spanish from like Mexico sometimes they'll go to
Barcelona,
Spanish
yeah.
classes and they're
Oh.
like, yo, what? Like, yeah.
What is this? Spanglish.
Yeah.
The Spanglish.
But anyways, yeah. All right. Well, that was interesting. Well, welcome to today's episode. Spoiler alert: today we're talking about dating part 2 specifically. Why do Christians date weirdly? So we're gonna talk about do's and don'ts of dating, how to date as a Christian, how Christians should date at least, because a lot of Christians we have just observed even around us, I'm sure I could speak for all of us, don't all do. And so we're gonna talk about it, and yeah. So let's get into it. Let's first of all talk about what is dating. What is dating meant to be?
Dating. Yeah, we don't see it in the Bible. So
Mm.
is it even biblical?
Dating?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Well, if it's not in the Bible, no. Didn't they literally just leave father, mother, and join to a spouse?
Yeah.
Did they even get to know the other person?
Courtship.
Not always.
Because everybody can fit with everybody.
Mm. Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
So does it come down to choice?
Babe, I don't know what you're getting at here.
No.
No, I'm just actually asking though, is it biblical to date? I've never looked into that, but it's not really in the Bible. I've ever.
I guess it depends on what biblical means. Like if you're talking about biblical in the sense that it's directly derived from the Bible, then I guess in that sense it wouldn't be biblical.
Yeah.
But
So what sense would it be biblical?
what sense would it be biblical is the way is the process that you go about preparing for and finding your spouse or preparing for marriage that aligns with the values of the Bible, and that's implementing the values and the process of the Bible as best to your ability as possible. In that sense, it's biblical, but in the sense that it's directly derived from, like I'm looking at John chapter 2 when it's telling me how to date or it's talking about dating. That's not how it goes. So
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't think dating is a biblical concept, but you can do it biblically. Because there's many things the Bible doesn't talk about that we do today because of culture. So dating is something that our culture has adopted in terms of figuring out how to who to marry.
Mhm.
And it's not necessarily cross-cultural. It's definitely not cross-generational. Like even in America, not that long ago, nobody dated. Like dating was not how you found someone. So you have to think about that during the process is like, okay, I just need to know that when I'm in a relationship with this person that we don't have to do what culture's doing, right? Like if I'm dating, there can be all sorts of Christian opinions on dating, but that doesn't mean that you can actually point to objective realities to justify cultural expectations around dating. But I do think that there's many reasons why Christians date the way they date based on biblical principles and not wanting to sin. So you're allowed to date however you want, just don't sin, and don't do things that are going to lead you to sin. You realize that you can't just date however you want when you're trying to be holy. So
Can you give an example of I don't know what you just said with the objective, whatever that?
I think by objective, I think he's saying you can't point to this and being like, oh, this is what the Bible says you have to do in dating or have to do to prepare. Is that kind of what you're saying?
yeah.
Okay, got it.
Like, so a lot of the way that you go ahead.
Yeah, like cultural, like in our culture, dating looks pretty consistent most of the time, but the problem is that this dude, you can't do that. You can't do that, bro. You can't do
Okay,
that.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I thought she would just cut it to
If
you.
I did
I'm sorry. I thought she was just sorry. Sorry, you're right. I'm wrong.
Okay.
You're right. That wasn't cool. My bad. I apologize.
And
Sorry, I
Here we
actually
go.
apologize. That wasn't cool.
No, you're chilling.
It just really bugged me. So.
Okay.
I'm really sorry. It just really
you
bugged
need to
me.
prepare beforehand.
Okay.
Get it?
What I was trying to say is that in culture, like dating looks pretty consistent. Meaning, if I took 10 dating couples in America, they would look pretty similar, like in terms of what they're doing. But you can't point to objective realities in Scripture that point to why you should date like that. So don't look to culture to find out how I'm supposed to date. Look to what the Bible says. But then you might be like, especially if you're not a Christian, you're looking at the Bible and you're like, I mean, what am I going to get from here in terms of how to date? It's going to give you principles in terms of not necessarily what you're looking for, which is what we talked about in the last episode, although it does give you principles for that. But what we're talking about today is how the Bible and sin can actually influence your ability to make right decisions in the dating process when you are with somebody, when you are discerning whether or not you're going to marry a specific person.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I actually want to take us off the rail a little bit. I don't want to talk about first actually what is dating, because what you were talking about with social standards and subjective or subjective dating, and you can grab people and see what things look the same. I just asked ChatGPT again, kind of what we did in our first dating episode, where it was like, okay, what do people think like the purpose of dating is? Like I'm trying to see if it will say something like what does the world or what does culture define dating as, and then maybe we can talk about that a bit before we get to what we actually think dating is meant to be.
But low-key, that's what we did in our first episode.
What do you mean?
So you just refer them to our first episode.
No. This isn't like the first episode. What we talked about was like how people viewed like other people. So for example, some of the questions were people view. I don't remember, but it's not the same.
Like
It's like the same method that we're doing, but it's not the same question.
we can
But
roll
if you
with it. We can roll with it.
Okay, so the brutally honest version of what cultural frameworks people operate under, usually without realizing it. The first one is dating is exploration, which it says is common in Western culture. So the belief is dating is for figuring out what you like. Agree or disagree?
Well,
Disagree.
yeah.
You will
Well-
figure out what you like in a dating relationship, but that's not the purpose. So, and honestly, ideally, you'd have a pretty good idea of what you want before entering into a dating
Yeah.
relationship. It just might expose things that you didn't think about.
Yeah.
But you should be as prepared as possible going into it, because the point is not to see how many people you can date so that you can get as much experience as possible
Mm-hmm.
in order to know what you want.
Yeah.
The goal is to not have to date a lot so that you can be emotionally intimate with just one person before you go into marriage.
Yeah.
And if it has to be more than one, you want to limit that. You don't want to start just giving your heart out to all these different people, heartbreak
Mhm.
and whatnot, for the sake of knowing what you want. You can figure out what you want, like through talking to any married couple, through talking to people who've been through it. You don't have to date to figure that out.
Yeah, and even understand how if you think like that, it's a dangerous route to go down, because you're like, okay, dating is for figuring out what I like. Let's take out the physical stuff, because a lot of people immediately go to, okay, well, I want to figure out, like we talked about in the last one, if we're sexually compatible, like if I like this type of stuff, if we can get along in that type of way. Let's take the physical stuff out of it for right now. Let's just talk about like the emotional or the person or the character and stuff like that. Imagine if we start viewing dating as being like, okay, I'm going to figure out if this person has what I like. If they don't, then I'm going to push that together with what this other person has. And if they don't have that, then I'm going to start being on this search for the perfect person that has all of this stuff that I like. And now you just start turning the person that you're dating, whether it be the guy, the girl, whatever, into almost a personal project. Okay, how can I find this perfect person that has everything that I like? And I'm only using this person as a method to figure out what I like. And as soon as I figure out, oh, shoot, Kimmy likes this or Kimmy does this, I don't particularly like that. So I'm going to go until I can find somebody who has what she had plus what she was missing. And so I just think it's a dangerous place to go down. But did you have thoughts, Kimmy?
You want to say something?
I was just gonna say it's prideful. Like, it's based on thinking about yourself. That's all.
Mm-hmm. We in our marriage counseling, what they told us.
Keep going.
What they told us was God will place the person in your life who pushes the button in the area that is like, can you word it better? I already knew as I started that sentence, I was like, I don't know how to word this.
Well, she was saying a lot of times when you get married, God will actually put you with somebody who pushes buttons in areas that you need to grow in. And so a lot of times people are like, oh, this person pushes my buttons in this way. And I would rather just have somebody that doesn't push any of my buttons. Well, you're not going to grow in that area that God might need you to grow in, or an area that you struggle with. And so he's not going to be able to use that other person to help you grow in that. And so our marriage counselor was like, hey, like you push Zeke's buttons in this way and this pushes him, or this is something that he's noticed that he has to work on through that, because pushing somebody's buttons isn't always a bad thing. And then vice versa, it was like, Kimmy, Zeke pushes some of your buttons in this way. And that's a great thing, because if he didn't do that, then you would never have growth or show growth in this area, and God wouldn't be able to use him for that.
Mm-hmm. That's what I just said, yeah.
So you probably shouldn't run away just because you're dating somebody that, I don't know, it's pushing your buttons.
Yeah.
For real.
Explain that though. There might be niche.
Wait, was
Like-
that not?
Wait, what do you mean?
Was that not good enough explanation? Like, what do you mean? Like, do you want us to give a specific
Somebody-
example?
Is
or
it the statement I just made? People are gonna have a problem with that. Can you assume why?
that you shouldn't leave somebody just if they push your buttons? Is that what
Mhm.
you're saying?
Yeah.
Like they annoy you, or are you thinking like deeper?
Yeah. Sure.
Well, I mean, that's what we're saying. We're saying that, I mean, there is very much like it's okay to be with somebody and start dating, and you just find out that you guys like, you just feel like you can't see yourself with this person. There's a difference between that and just being like, okay, like we just like aren't connected on a deeper level versus, okay, we've connected on this deeper level, like we're compatible, like we have a good time, like I really enjoy this person, but ooh, she does this one thing that really pisses me off. One, it could be something that genuinely is like an issue, but you know what, you can be there for to help that person actually work through that or recognize that as an issue. Or it can be something that pushes your buttons because you struggle with this thing, and so now that person is able to help you with that. Like for example, I don't know what's a good example. I'll just use patience as one because I feel like it's an easy one that can apply pretty generally. But like, say you're in a relationship and you're doing good, like you guys are connecting, you guys are getting along, you guys love dating, stuff like this. But this person constantly tests your patience in certain fields or certain areas, you feel like. And you're just like, man, I can't stand that. And I don't want to be in a relationship where this person never pushes or tests my patience. I want her to just like always go along with what I'm saying, all this other stuff. That can be two things. One, it could be testing your patience because you have a zero patience tolerance, and that's not a good thing. And that's an area that you need to grow in. Or second of all, it could be because you have an unhealthy view of what a relationship should be. If this person should just always permanently go along with what I'm saying and never like it's never any type of group project that I'm working on, then you're just viewing it as like, okay, this relationship is about me and how I can be at the most peace and how I can never have anything tested or how I can never have this person go against me. Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what you said initially was a good disclaimer. Is we're not saying in the dating process that if you don't feel good, then you have to stick it out.
Yeah.
Like you need to critically analyze why you feel the way you feel. And you just kind of demonstrated what that can look like. So
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say like kind of what you were talking about, but it's like if you have if you're like chilling, cruising, and then a conflict, you're like, it comes to fruition between the two of you. It's not like oh my gosh, there's conflict between us. He's not the person for me anymore. I have to go find somebody else who doesn't have this conflict that I think is that I'm very strong about. It's like, that's the whole point. The whole point is like the Lord is going to bring you somebody like, for example, Ezekiel and I don't like communicating when we're like disagreeing on something. I don't like to sit there and communicate about it, but Ezekiel does like to sit there and communicate about it. So of course the Lord brought me somebody who wants to talk it out right as it's happening, and I'm an internal processor, so I'm like, I don't even know what you're telling me right now. So it's like it works on Ezekiel has to be patient, but then I also have to be like locked in of like, I can't just get out of the car because we're having a disagreement right now. So it's pushing both of our buttons at the same time, but it's like bringing us closer to sanctification, but also bringing us closer to realize like where we're flawed and where we genuinely are like improving for the other person. Like me sitting in the car, even just thinking about what Zeke's saying is going to improve how I communicate with Zeke and how Zeke's point is then able to be across, and then vice versa with Zeke like giving me maybe like 2 seconds to respond back. Like that's just going to strengthen your relationship. And so I feel that sometimes people will see conflict. I mean, conflict is a bad thing, but I think there's like an underlying of good in it where you're starting to realize more of these are two separate beings raised in two separate places and have two separate views usually on life of certain things, that you're trying to understand the other person and like hear them out. And you have to do that with grace and patience, but also just with humility. I think is like the biggest thing too, is you should go through it with humility, which is really hard because we're just so prideful people. So I would say that is how I would describe maybe a little bit more.
It's not, I also do want to make it clear, it's not always like, we're not saying if you're in a relationship and you guys communicate the same way, that's a red flag. Like, oh my gosh, it's not somebody who thinks the opposite. It's God intentionally does sometimes, but no matter what, he can use that. So it's understanding and looking through that lens. And I mean, that's a great example because for a while, I mean, we just did not communicate the same. So my patience was tested because at first there was the prideful part of me where it's like, oh, no, like this is the one healthy way. This is the one good way to communicate. So we are going to communicate this way, versus realizing, okay, she processes or she thinks about things differently. I'm somebody who, like she was saying, just wants to sit down, talk about it in 2 minutes and then be done with it. But she likes to think about it and really be intentional with, okay, where did I go wrong? What is this? Like, blah, blah. How can we talk about this and then bring it to a conversation? And another example I want to bring up, and only because I wrote a paper on it, and I'm not necessarily saying this because this applies to us, but this is also just like a big one that I was learning about in psychology or whatever. It's like I'll continue to go back to like the whole father thing. It's not always just with girls, it's with guys and girls, just different type of things. But people who are raised differently, people who might have wounds from the past, like you think about sexual assaults, sadly being like a very big thing nowadays. There are a lot of women and men out there that you just think about are physically scarred from just like from intimacy and just other stuff because of bad and traumatic experiences they've had in the past. And so when you get to a portion like that where it's like, yo, like this person isn't as comfortable with this as I am, you can see that as a conflict and be like, yo, I have to run. Or you can be like, hey, maybe this is an opportunity for me to actually work with this person, encourage this person, help through this person, not me fixing this person. But again, I just always use a psychology example of fathers because people who have a different view of intimacy or just different type of love or different type of love languages. Yes, different people like receiving love, especially in different types of ways. But do you think God made us to be like, hey, but I hate when somebody says this, like gives me verbal affirmation, or I hate when I'm being physically intimate with my boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife, or I hate this, I hate that. I don't think that's how God created us. And so it's also realizing, hey, this person has some underlying scars from their past, from what they've gone through, whether it be emotional, physical, mental trauma, whatever else it may be. And this is an opportunity for me to actually help bring healing to this person. And that's another huge way that God uses relationships, and sometimes why it's important to realize where you're pushing somebody else's buttons and actually embrace that and push through that instead of run away. Because now you're taking out the ability for God to work in that situation, and not saying you should go into a relationship with the view of, okay, I'm broken and I have these scars, so I need somebody to fix me. That's not what I'm talking about, but it's realizing and recognizing, hey, we're in a healthy relationship, but this person does have some scars from their past. And so it's helping them work through that. Well,
I would also say, kind of what you said a little bit earlier, is like that's the importance of knowing the Lord and being right with God before you're in a relationship. Because if you're going in a relationship and you're not right with God, and God reveals things in you that you have to work because of this other person, you're not going to change those things. You're not going to take those things up with the Lord. Instead, you're going to be like, this is this other person's fault. Like when you have a relationship with the Lord, you automatically have to have humility beyond humility, and you're still going to be prideful within that humility. And so I think that makes it so much harder when your relationship with the Lord is not strengthened or your first priority, even in your relationship. Like just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean the Lord gets bumped down and this other person gets bumped up. It's like this person now is a tool in a way that the Lord is using to sanctify you even more through dating and then eventually through marriage. So I think when people re-rank that and they're just like, oh, I'll find a person, like they'll lead me stronger in my faith. It's like, no, bro, you gotta be strong in your faith first, because how are you expect somebody else to lead you or encourage you in your faith when you don't even have the humility to accept that? Like you think you do, but when the Lord brings up sin, like something I just came to mind was like a way I feel like you could almost tell if like how you would handle a relationship maybe is like when the Lord brings sin to your life through like friends or just like the Holy Spirit convicting you of that. Like how do you take that? Like are you immediately like justifying why you're sinning and all of this stuff, or are you immediately like going into a heart posture of repentance and you're like, Lord, I'm so sorry? And I think if you're in that mode of like immediate repentance and you're like, Lord, change my ways, that I feel like is a really good sign of just like, this is how you could also be in a relationship. When somebody comes up to you and like, you're hurting me in this way, you're making me fall into sin this way, this is where like temptation is, whatever, it's like you're gonna immediately take that up with the Lord instead of just being like a mirror and reflecting that back to the other person and basically saying it's their fault. So I feel like it's really important too to have that strong relationship with the Lord first. And like I say that out of actual experience because that's how me and Ezekiel have just had to like back up like 30 steps to like rewind that and then jump back into it, which has been great for us. But I mean, just something we did not have to go through whatsoever. So.
Yeah. Who do you guys think, and this is not based on statistics or anything, this is genuinely just a question, who do you guys think idolizes relationships more? Do you think it's equal? And I'm not just talking about from a faith background. Do you think men idolize relationships more? Do you think females idolize relationships more? Or do you think it's pretty even across the board? And again, not just talking about in a religious context, just in general in the world.
Females.
I think men idolize women more, but females idolize relationships.
I agree. Can you elaborate though? Like why you think that?
Because men don't want to commit for some reason. Like more often
For some reason.
like men will be passive in the way they pursue somebody. They don't want to commit. A lot of men are driven by physical intimacy more than women, and from my experience and just what I've seen. So because of that, you see men who don't want to commit but just want to see what they can get from this girl. And then the girl wants to be committed. She wants the safety. She wants the trust that the men just don't care about. So women idolize that relationship for the sake of security and feeling appreciated and special and loved. Whereas men, they want to feel those things, but for some reason, like I think men are blinded by temporary pleasure more often.
Counterfeit. Kimmy, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I just think women. I think women just want to be like, they just want some person in their life who is like understands them and is like really close to them. And I feel like when you add like a male into that role, it's like then they're like, oh, this is a relationship. This is great. And I feel like that's what they idolize. Even if it's like, I've noticed it even too with like guy and girl best friends. How like they almost like the girl mentally like puts the guy in that role, and the guy's like super confused because the girl will say something, the guy's like, oh, that's not how we are. So now it's a huge miscommunication. And so I feel like, I mean, isn't that just like a natural thing though?
What?
Like for women, just like biblically, to want to feel like protected or I don't want to use the word fragile because I feel like that's very negative. Some people will feel that negative, but like women are more fragile than men, no? So isn't it like more of a natural like instinct to be like, you're like, you want to be protected? Or is that just like a thought I have?
I would say yeah, but 100%. Like I don't want people to think that
I'm not saying
you're connecting that to,
like,
no, I don't want people to think you're connecting that to the idolatry that we're talking about. Like the Bible is saying, oh, women are more likely to, or the woman should idolize relationships. That's
good to clarify. That's that's not what I'm saying.
I do what you're seeing. I do see what you're saying, but I also think it's more. I think it's also kind of equal because I mean, you look at the Bible.
Wait, can I add?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, I think what I was trying. I don't know, like actually what I was trying to say. I was trying to get to somewhere, but I was just saying like I just feel like women idolize relationships because they seek potential instead of seeking what it actually is. Like I feel like they just see past the literal red flags the Lord is like waving in front of them. They're like, no, they'll get there. Like they have a relationship with the Lord, and then that gets into the whole like looking at their fruits, like all this stuff. So I feel like women. I don't even know if women idolize relationships. I feel like women idolize potential, low key.
The potential. I like that.
Yeah, because I don't know. Sure. Do you feel like guys do that?
No. I don't think guys do that. I think guys just care like short term. Guys just think short term, while the woman immediately wants to like think long term. Like I think a lot of girls even in secular spaces would be like, okay, well, like I want a man who can do this for me, be this for me, but then they lack the short term thinking. Okay, how can I practically get there? Yeah. How can I steward this relationship to get there? And then the guys aren't thinking long term, like, oh, immediately, how can I prepare for a marriage, or how can I think about marriage, stuff like that. The guys are thinking about the short term, like the short term pleasures, the short term just like happiness and joy that comes to them or comes to their mind.
Yeah. Can I ask a question? Why do you guys think it's harder for guys to commit? Like, why do you think that's even like a cultural? Is that the word, like a cultural standard thing, or like, what's the word I'm looking for?
I think
a niche thing.
I think it's a combination of what both of us said. I think for me personally,
like why don't men want to commit? And you say,
I think it's personally because men are so busy thinking about the short term, like short term pleasures, joys, fun, just the idea of relationship, stuff like that.
But I'm saying, like, why do they think that? And then
he's saying because men think more physically, and so a lot of times that's what men are more seeking. They're more seeking that stuff versus seeking that long term comfort of being in a relationship or that security.
Okay.
But anyways, the reason why I asked about that idolatry thing in the first place is because what you were saying about they need to both be the idea of being unequally yoked. They both need to be on fire for the Lord. They need to be equally yoked. I brought that up because I see it a lot of times in a woman, and I feel really bad because there's so many women that I know that genuinely have a relationship with the Lord. They're genuinely pursuing that. They want to grow that. They want a family. They want a dating relationship. They want a marriage that's holy and based on biblical principles. But then they're too busy looking for a guy and trying to force a relationship so bad that they end up like compromising what God has in store for them, or compromising a relationship, or like, hey, you know what? But he's a Christian at least. Like, he might not be as strong as me, but it'll be fine. Like, we're both still Christian. Like, you and I both know. But I don't think the people that are looking for this know how painful it is to be in a relationship and be specifically in a marriage where you're committed to a marriage. And yes, you both saying you're Christian going into it, but one person isn't strong in their faith. And what happens when they come across one verse that they don't like, or one biblical principle that they don't like, or what if they just don't care enough and they just walk away from the faith? You know how hard and how troublesome and how awful it is to be in that marriage at that point? That you're fighting over the kids, like, hey, are we going to go to church? Are we taking them to church? This person doesn't care. It's hard. And that's the reason why it's so important to be equally yoked when you go into the relationship. Because first of all, when you start to idolize it, you're obviously putting something on the throne that belongs only to God, that only belongs to Christ. And then second of all, you're starting to chase after something more than God, which I guess is kind of in along with the idolizing thing. And so instead of thinking about, hey, how can I just pursue my relationship with God and have this person lead me, or have this person encourage me or build me up in this relationship? Now it's okay, like, how can I fix or mend this person, or like compromise, or I mean, not compromise, what's the word I'm looking for?
Conform.
No, not conform.
Change.
It's like when
Substitute.
Mold.
No, it's like when I'm making up for what you're lacking. What's the word? I'm blanking on it.
I know what you're talking about. It starts with an S.
I'm
Sacrifice.
I'm making up for what Caleb's lacking. So I'm doing 75% and he's only doing 25 instead of the 50.
Fill the gap.
Dang, bro, what's the thing? I don't know. But now you're starting to do that, where instead of you both being in the relationship and pursuing the same thing, pursuing the values, now you're stressed about, hey, how is this person's walk with God? Are they going to do this? Are they going to cheat at me? Are we going to have the same values? Do I need to fix them? Do I need to steward this relationship? And it sucks because women, biblically speaking, should have the much easier part when it comes to a relationship, focusing on their relationship with God and having a man of God recognize that and say, hey, that's the person I want to be my wife. That's the person I want to lead my family. That's the person that I want to get to know better. And that man of God go and pursue her and talk to her. But instead, it's been the other way around, where females are they're on fire for God, and it's amazing. And they're ready for a relationship, which is amazing. But they're trying to rush it not on God's time, but on their time. And so they're compromising what God is trying to store up for them and build up for them. And also, to be quite frank, not everybody's going to be married. Not everybody's meant for marriage. Not everybody has a marriage in store for them. Not everybody even has a dating relationship in store for them. So you have to be okay with that before you try to force something and compromise what God actually has in store for you. Okay, so let's start knocking this stuff on the list. Talking about what is dating. What is dating? How should we date?
Wow, that's general.
That's an enormous question.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we're supposed to be answering.
So dating is meant to be a process that you move through. Dating connects two points of your life that are both better than dating, in my opinion. Being single and being married are both better than dating. So the point of dating is not to sit in it and just have a fun time during dating, but the point of dating is to figure out who you're gonna marry. So that's why that influences who you choose to date, which is the whole point of part one. But what we're saying now is, once you figure that out, you don't sit in a dating relationship and be content with exactly what you're doing because you're having fun. Like, I hope that you have fun in your dating relationship, and I hope that you do have a good time, and I hope that you are content day by day in the sense that you're not anxious about the future. But in a dating relationship, you should be having intentional conversations about the future. You should be doing things that reveal one another's character, one another's strengths and weaknesses, because you're trying to figure out if you're going to spend the rest of your life with this person, yoked together permanently. Like, you're trying to figure that out. So Christians date weird because Christians don't believe in divorce. Meaning, like, Christians don't, like, divorce is not an option. Like, unless
it's not supposed to be.
It's not supposed to be an option. So it's good to say not supposed to be, because there's so many Christians that get divorced. Yeah. And it's like a 50% rate in the church in America or something like that, which is absurd.
I thought that was all of America. That's the church?
Yeah.
Keep talking. I just want to fact you. Keep talking.
That's crazy.
Granted, again, I'm gonna safely assume if 50% of Christians in America are getting divorced, then not all of them are actually Christians. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
If you're pursuing holiness and you're pursuing the Bible, you pair two people that love Jesus wholeheartedly above all else, they will not get divorced. They'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is that I just feel like Christians date weird because they don't want to mess that up. You don't want to end up married to somebody that you shouldn't be married to. So because of that passageway, this path from single to marriage, this is a opportunity for you to really evaluate someone's character and get to know them on a deeper level, so that you can understand if you're supposed to spend the rest of your life with this person. And it doesn't take as long as people think it does, to be honest.
I think that's the most important thing by far, the whole evaluation thing. This isn't meant to be something that we sit in. The thing that I want to talk about the most is like the way that you should pursue dating in a general sense. If I'm thinking about, okay, how am I meant to pursue dating or dating this person? You need to be thinking, okay, if we broke up in a week, in a month, in a day or whatever, and obviously nobody's hoping and looking for that, am I going to be okay? Meaning that, like, hey, am I still good with my relationship with God? The worst thing that should happen in a breakup in dating amongst Christians is that you're emotionally hurt because you got connected to this person, you got attached to this person, but it shouldn't be an overwhelming burden. And so you shouldn't go about dating in a way where when I break up with this girl, now she has baggage from this relationship, whether it be because we pushed physical boundaries, did things that we shouldn't have done, whether it be because I treated her in a way that I shouldn't have. This person should be able to go forward dating and finding their husband and not have any issues or scars or things that are holding her back from that, and same vice versa for the man. And so you have to think about, it's an evaluation period, and the way that I should go about this evaluation period isn't pushing every single button, isn't trying to get at every single thing that I can get at and that I can get knowledge of. It's like, okay, how can I pursue this in a holy manner, loving this person as myself, so that if we were to break up, would I be okay? Would they be okay? And would we be okay for our future spouses? Because we don't know at the end of the day when you're dating, you never know what's going to happen. And everybody starts that dating and you're like 2 weeks in, you're like, man, I'm going to get married. And it's okay to want that and to desire that. But you also you can't just start now compromising, being like, okay, we're going to start doing this stuff now, though, because I said this. So you have to make sure that you're able to leave your partner or your dating or whatever else it is in an unbroken manner.
Mm-hmm. I think the reason why Christians date weirdly is because they are counting the cost, because what Caleb said, like, it's more favorable to be single or more favorable to be married, and dating is kind of that weird in between where you're almost like testing the waters with somebody else and learning more about their character. But I think like even how Christians date is they're so intentional with dating, because it literally almost reflects, well, it does reflect the church and the
Church in Christ.
The Church in Christ, and how serious that is as well. So you're going in with the mindset of, this isn't just two people trying to work it out together. It's like, no, these are two people that can God use them together to further his kingdom? Like, it's literally all about the eternal perspective and mindset of, can the Lord use both of us to have the same mission that we're going to support each other in and further the gospel? Like, some people have like very different plans that the Lord has put on their heart. Like, one wants to be a missionary, but one wants to start a school. And it's like, sometimes the reason why you break up dating is because the Lord is strongly directing you in each like different paths, and that has nothing to do necessarily with like somebody's relationship with God. And so I feel like that's why Christians, like what you're saying, like a divorce is not an option. So I feel like Christians count the cost before you're even in a relationship. You should count the cost of dating, because now you're committing to taking time that you could have spent with the Lord away from the Lord and spending it with this person. And if you think about it, like, you don't want that time to be wasted. So you should be intentionally pursuing that person for marriage, so that you're able to discern if this is something that God can use to bless his kingdom in the future.
Yeah, 100%. God doesn't look down at the earth and be like, he sees you as single, he sees you as married. Kind of the two things that Caleb laid out earlier. He doesn't see you as dating and honor that in some type of really special way, especially to where like you're bound to one another, or at least you're not supposed to be, and you're not one and all this stuff. So those are the two different ways that God sees you. So now let's talk about...
I want to explain why dating is less preferred to singleness in marriage, because I think people might... I've had a friend actually tell me that they didn't like that I said that one time.
Okay.
Because they were like, so you're implying that I shouldn't feel great when I'm dating, but like I should always, like, I have the spirit within me at all times. I can be content in every single season of my life, equally content. But I think objectively, when you are dating somebody, you to some degree are lacking the intimacy that comes with marriage. So you have to put up these boundaries. It's funny. I was having this conversation with these two married couples last weekend, and I talked to them about how me and Jenna have boundaries, and they laughed and started like gagging like in a funny way because they're like, oh, boundaries, like I don't miss that, like which is funny because like that's like what they're showing is like dating. If you do dating right, there's supposed to be a desire for deeper intimacy that you can't actually tap into yet because you shouldn't before you really commit to somebody. So there is going to be an inner conflict. If you're dating right, there should be an inner conflict where you want to be more intimate with this person, but you can't. Either because you physically are not around them enough, like you're not living with them, not sleeping in the same bed, but then also physically in the sense of like having sex, yeah, exactly. So we'll talk about that. So, so it's not like if you think that dating and marriage feel about the same, then you're dating wrong. Yeah. If you think dating and singleness feel about the same, then maybe you're not actually like pouring into that relationship enough to find out if you're supposed to marry that person. So dating should not be the most enjoyable season of your life, but you can still find joy in it and you can still be content. But I'm just saying, like, if you're dating right, it should not give you the same fruit as marriage and singleness.
I'm glad you elaborated on that actually, because I disagree with you earlier when you said the content thing, like you can be that in dating or whatever. Because I'll be honest, and obviously Kimmy and I are in like a slightly different stage, but it's easy to be like, oh, we're in a different stage, so we're basically married. And that's like a trap that some people fall into, like, oh, we're engaged, so we might as well, like, we're about to be married, we might as well do this or do that or whatever. But the reason why I disagree is because Kimmy and I have been in that stage for a while, even before we were engaged, where it's like we're not happy with this relationship because there is that desire to tap into things that you can't tap into and that you shouldn't tap into. And so it's like, hey, like we desire to be in that destination of marriage. And that's why Caleb is saying that. And I totally agree with that because like it's easy to like, yes, I'm content in our relationship and I love dating Kimmy and I love being engaged to Kimmy, but like there's always a piece of me, and we have conversations about this all the time where it's just like, man, like this is so lame. Like we can't wait till like we're married and there isn't boundaries. That's why I think that's so funny that they laughed at that because they just funny. They just
opened my eyes.
They just look back at everybody that's dating and it's just like, yeah, I don't miss being there because again, it's like it's a process. It's not meant to be the destination. So it's okay to be like, hey, like I'm not fully content with this because like I want to be more emotionally vulnerable or more physically vulnerable and all this other stuff with Kimmy, and so does she. But it's like you can't do that and you shouldn't do that in dating. And so yeah. But did you guys have anything else to touch on that? Because I'm gonna get into what dating is not, or I'm gonna ask you guys what dating is not.
Sure, I'm sure we're good.
Okay, cool. Okay, what is dating not? We obviously said it's not a destination, but like what is dating also not meant to be?
Marriage. You should be treating your boyfriend like your fiance, and you should be treating your fiance like a husband.
Elaborate.
I was like, why are you guys looking at me like that?
You just said that a little funky. That's why I was looking at you. Yeah.
Like when you're dating and you're not engaged, like your boyfriend is not your fiance in the sense that like you shouldn't be like thinking so far ahead to where you're like thinking about having kids, or like that shouldn't, like you can think about that. I shouldn't say that. It shouldn't be like the forefront of all of your talks in the sense of like you're creating this makeup life with this other person. Personally, I don't think. And then you shouldn't be treating your fiance like your husband in the sense you shouldn't be sleeping together, you shouldn't be living together, you shouldn't be entertaining things that you know you wouldn't do. I also kind of think about it, which I don't know, this is a thought just popped up, so let me know if this is valid. But like if you wouldn't, oh gosh, maybe I shouldn't say.
I think I know what she's gonna say.
If you wouldn't do, okay, hear me out. If you wouldn't do with your like boyfriend or fiance what you would do with every other guy, should you really be doing it?
Oh,
is that valid?
Oh, I
saw that coming.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that coming. I don't think
blindsided.
I don't think that's valid, but I also don't think it's the most invalid thing if like you have.
Like, I feel like to an extent.
I don't think that's. I don't know. I don't think that's valid.
So
what do you think?
Like, I think it's true to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
Like just a very
Very
Like,
small though.
very
There's
small
no
extent.
way. Yeah.
Like here, like
Ah,
friends,
the way you
maybe
went,
maybe friends that are guys, not just any guy. Like friends that are guys, because to an extent. So I think
Yo,
here's what I will tell you. Like honestly on that
See, I
though.
don't know why that triggered me because people. Never mind.
Here's what I will tell you though is honestly like this is not always the case, but you could probably figure out what you need to with a friend in terms of can I marry this person, but without ever being in a committed relationship with them. Does that make sense? Like, so in that sense, you're right. Whereas you could treat dating like I'm just friends with this person and figure out everything you need to of whether or not you could actually see yourself marrying this person. I'm not saying that that's in fact that's really the vast majority of human history. That's kind of how like dating quote unquote like looked like. You didn't commit to this person before you got married. You were just friends with them. Like and then you kind of just popped the question like after like
boop.
So honestly like in that sense here's what my pushback though is that when you enter into a committed relationship there's a level of security that allows people to emotionally open up. But at the same time I don't like you don't necessarily need to know every detail of someone's past to marry them. That's something that can get fleshed out as time goes on. Because if you think you two know like everything about each other now, when you literally live with each other minute by minute for years, you start to learn things and change in ways that you might not have foreseen, and you might figure things out about this person that you didn't even think you could know, like in terms of personality, in terms of the past. So I don't know. But I also
think with that though, people can then start to get into this like polygamous mindset where it's like, oh, I'll just like try that with all my friends at the same time.
Well, all I see that as is, and I don't think that's valid at all. I see that as
shut that down.
I see that as you trying to date or to entertain without a label.
Well, I wasn't saying. What she was saying was that if if you're doing something in a dating relationship that you wouldn't do with any of
what's the difference then though? What separates dating and friendship if I'm doing and saying the same exact thing that I'm saying to my guy's friends?
She wasn't saying that you would do this. You would treat every other guy friend exactly the same. She was just saying like, would I feel uncomfortable, like, or would I feel like I'm giving something up by doing this with my other guy friends?
What?
It doesn't mean that you would.
You know, it's to me it sounded like you shouldn't, like, for example, if you weren't to kiss any of your other guy friends, and you shouldn't kiss when you're dating. That's what it sounded like. Like if you weren't gonna open up about this, then you shouldn't open up while you're dating.
I mean, kind of though.
Yeah, I know that's what she meant, and so I'm saying I think that's totally invalid because then it's just like me entertaining or whatever without a label, and then it's like what's the separation and what's even the point of? Because at that point, like that's not dating.
I'm pro commitment and labels. I think that there is. I would never do that with somebody that I don't have a commitment with. And
so then it's not valid with, or you think it's valid?
But I think the point is that I wouldn't. This person ain't my wife, so the point is that I wouldn't like when I'm married. Listen, when I'm married to somebody. When I'm married to somebody, no, I would never anything.
Well,
but that's the point here is that when you're married, you're committed and there is no other option. But when you're dating, like there is the other option, even though you wouldn't do that because you can break up with this person and then do that with a friend. But I'm not saying you would.
I think you guys are just saying though what I said earlier, where you shouldn't do anything like too far to where it would leave that person burdened. But you shouldn't, there's no way you should be treating like the dating relationship as like you would treat the rest of your friends, because then you shouldn't be dating. And if you still feel like you need to figure stuff out, maybe you shouldn't have stepped into that in the first place. Maybe you need more discernment, like, oh, should I even date this person? If you need to do this whole long process of, oh, I'm going to get to know them as like a close friend, but we're not going to be dating, that leaves like
I'm not pro that. I didn't say that.
But that's what it sounds, that's what it's coming off as. I don't think that you think that, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just really against that, and I don't think that's wise. I don't think that's smart. It's fine if you don't want to date, and if like you want to be that person where, hey, I've been friends, I've known this person for a long time, and I feel comfortable with popping a question, and you guys get engaged, and then you guys get married. That's fine. That's awesome. But then you shouldn't do this like weird intermediate thing, whatever you want to call it, and call it situationship or not official or me just figuring it out, because then that's when you start to get into that whole ideology of what we were talking about earlier, where, okay, I'm just trying to figure it out or test my friends or see if this friend is valid or this one and this one. And it's just like, that's...
Well,
I'm not.
I think though.
I think we're not on the same page because I'm not saying that. You know how I did my relationship too. So that
I'm reacting to what she's saying still.
No, but I think people outside of that would think that with what we're talking about. Would think what you're saying. Would think that me and Caleb are like, oh yeah, so they think I should just go around kissing all my guy friends.
Because I know Kevin. Oh my gosh,
Kelvin?
I know Caleb plays the devil's advocate a lot.
Simon Theodore.
But like this time it sounded like an inner mix, and so I was responding to the devil's advocate stuff. It sounded like you were saying, maybe you weren't, because I know that you don't believe that, and I was responding mainly to what she was saying.
I was giving credit to what she was saying.
I don't
to
think
some
there's
degree.
any credit that
I don't
deserves.
think I think that more dating couples need to act like they're friends, closer to friends than to marriage.
Oh, okay, 100%.
But that's basically what she's saying.
No,
That is what I'm
don't do that.
That is what I'm saying.
No.
Zeke, if you're dating somebody and you're like not like kissing, then that's how you would treat your other friends. Like, wait,
no.
stop.
You're gonna lose him really
Stop.
quickly if you
Oh
keep
my
it short.
gosh,
Go ahead.
Ignore what I just said. Everyone just cut out what I just said, okay?
Well, that wasn't even crazy
But-
in my opinion. What you just said.
No, it's because she doesn't believe it.
No,
say what you're saying.
but I kind of do though, because I feel like I see.
You're gonna lose him.
Explain it. Go.
But
Explain
because I'm just saying, like, I feel like if you're like so deep in with somebody, then it becomes an idol where it's like now you are like to this point where it is going to be extremely hard for you to give this person up because you created more closer to like marriage than you did a friendship. And I also would say like that's the whole point of I think why dating is not biblical, because I think that is the point, is you're like with your friends and you're like, oh, I really admire this. I really admire this. Like this is somebody, like this would be the quality someday I'd want to marry. You find that person. And then once you find that person, it's like, oh, I'm going to marry that person. And then you start kissing and doing all that stuff. And that's a part of marriage.
Okay, but it's just the biggest issue I have. That's fine. There's so many people who are like, hey, we're not going to kiss. We're not going to do this, whatever you want to say, until we're married or until we're at least engaged or until whatever. That's fine. But like you saying that, like, I'm going to view this the same as that I view every other that's where it becomes an issue, because that means that you're allowing yourself, that means that you yourself are thinking that I can think about any friendship in this way because I'm treating them the same way as any other friend. And then there's no separation. So it's like, if you're going to do that, then you commit to dating this person or even courtship or whatever, or you just pop the question, but you don't do this weird intermediate evaluation / non-committal / whatever. But I 100%
That's
agree
not
that
what she's saying, bro.
that is what she's saying.
She wasn't saying that you start treating the other people with a similar commitment. She was saying practically what you're actually doing in the dating relationship is not like bounds beyond what you do with a friend. Like she wasn't saying the commitment would be different.
I'm not saying keep your options open. Like you would act the same way.
Like you can tell someone like listen, okay, first of all, I am playing devil's advocate a little bit in the sense that like I don't treat it like that, but I'm giving it more credit than you're giving it, in the sense that
it's just
more Christian couples would be better off treating it how Kimmy's treating it in that statement than the other way, because too many Christian couples act too closer to marriage and are, especially like we talked about with women, they're already married in their head, thinking about the future and stuff like that. Talk about like problems like that come with dating sometimes. So like what I'm giving her credit to is how I don't fully agree. I honestly don't, but because I treated my situation way differently. But like,
you have a situationship?
No, Ezekiel.
I'm kidding.
Stop.
Go ahead.
Go.
I'm in a committed relationship. By the way.
Yeah. Okay. This is the last thing I say, and we should just like. Oh wait, you were gonna say something? Go ahead. Sorry.
All she's saying is that it's not that you would treat everybody like they're like you're committed to them. It's that practically what you're doing in a dating relationship, practically what you're saying, what you're physically doing, should be closer to friends than to marriage. Like, and I don't fully agree, but I think that has some merit, and I would rather someone treat it like that.
Dude, I agree,
Guys,
but that's not what she's saying. I agree, but that's not what she said.
That is what I'm saying.
No.
That is
okay. That's fine, but that's not what you said. Go ahead.
I'm just saying. I'm also saying. This was an idea I just threw out. So I'm just saying, like, I don't treat. This is not how I personally. This is not personally how like I go about Ezekiel and I's relationship. I'm just saying, like, even just in the beginning stages, like talk about like first 3 months, something. Like you should be kind of in that state of like, you're like mentally you're like committed to this person, and you're both like, yep, we're committed to each other, but you should be on a page where it's like this should be more like my friend instead of like my intimate person that I'm like.
I agree, but all I want you to acknowledge is all I want you to acknowledge is what you said is that you should treat that person the same. I'm not saying that you elevate your friend to that same level, but I just want you to acknowledge that you said treat that person that you're dating or whatever else you want to call it the same that you would treat any other guy friend. And that's where I'm like, okay, I completely throw that out. If you were to have said what you said, I think especially in the first 3 months, you should be thinking closer to friendship than marriage. 100% agree. That's totally valid.
I think that biblically more aligns though, because I think if you treat if you had all of your guy friends and you treated them all the same,
that's fine, but you're not dating.
That's what I'm saying. You skip the dating.
That's what she's trying to say. That you should. That's more biblical. We should just skip that. She's saying is more biblical than dating.
I know, guys, but what
I'm saying it also takes out so many more problems where it's like if you lined up all your friends that are girls and you were all on the same length with all of them, super close with all of them, friends, whatever, it's like you'll find the one that you like are attracted to the most, that you get along with the most. You literally just marry that person and then you go like so much deeper intimate, because last episode we talked about how literally every single person is wired for physical intimacy and it'll work. Like that's the whole point, is we're wired. It's like you'll find that person, you'll marry that person, and then you make it work. It's
and
you
just gotta choose and trust. You just gotta choose.
That's what I'm saying.
And trust the decision.
I'm just saying at the end of the day, I think this one is more biblical.
That's what I'm saying.
My response, what I said earlier, like, is still the same thing. I said that's not dating, though. Like I said, that's fine, but then don't even call that anywhere dating. You're just like, you're just gonna look and
you're chopping out the dating part. Yes. That's why it's more biblical.
Yes, and I'm saying
because you're also not leaving at any room for this like mental toil of going back and forth with somebody and then you break up. Yep,
and I'm saying I agree with both of those, but just not what you said. Like with the whole look, I agree. What I said is that I agree that you can literally just get to know somebody as a friend, and whatever, you know them as a friend, and then just like propose and be like, hey, I want to marry this person, and if she says yes or whatever, that's amazing. Or you can do it the other way where you start dating, but then obviously that's different than treating them as every other friend. But what you said sounded like, and you said it as though it was some weird intermediate. So I'm saying we just cut that whole thing out, and that's why I agree, and I like what you said now, where you said, no, I'm just cutting all the dating out.
Because that's why I think dating somebody I think has more harm.
Yeah, and that's not a hot take. That's a good take. I like that.
Okay.
Look, all I want you to acknowledge is that's not how you framed it. But anyways, okay, now that we got all of that out of the way, another thing that dating is not a conversion method. I'm talking to all the guys out there. I'm talking to all the females out there. They're like, hey, I love God, but yo, this woman is bad. She's fine. She's cute. She's pretty. Whatever you're saying to yourself, if she's not Christian, if she's not committed to the Lord, what makes you think that you can fully be in a fully committed relationship? And then let me just say the last part. And then if you're a female, I touched on this earlier, you're in a committed relationship with God. Oh, but this guy is cute. He could make the best husband. He's a good guy. He just isn't quite there yet. It's wrong to put somebody, first of all, it's wrong and prideful to think in the first place that anybody's salvation relies on you. It relies on God. But then second of all, it's awful in this mental turmoil, and I can speak from experience, to put yourself in a position where like I'm allowing my own morals and values. Maybe you're a lot stronger than I was, but to be compromised and putting it in a position to be compromised by my emotions getting attached. Because even if God wants to use you in this person's life, that doesn't mean now you get physical boundaries intertwined, mental, emotional boundaries intertwined, whatever else you want to call it. That makes it harder. You have to trust God to work in that. And like, hey, if you're like, hey, I think that God has a role for me in this person's life, guy, girl, whatever, that's fine. But it shouldn't be anything past a friend.
Mm-hmm. This might be maybe controversial to you guys.
Oh my gosh.
But I feel like this is my personal opinion that I had recently, is like you also shouldn't date for a conversion to make them love the Lord. Like, you gotta hear me out. Love the Lord more in the sense of like taking the relationship seriously. Like maybe they're like a proclaiming Christian, but they're not bearing fruit. Like you shouldn't date them just because they proclaim to be Christian. You should date them because they're Christian and they bear fruit. Like it's not your job. Well, I don't know.
I think you should go a step further. I think I know what you mean.
Do you guys think it's your job, just simple answer, in dating to like bear the weight of pushing somebody towards Christ, like specifically, or no?
No.
Do you?
No,
No,
it's not.
that's like marriage, right?
No, like you can push someone towards Christ in a dating relationship, but that's not your responsibility, and that's not your burden.
Yes.
You can desire, like I desire for me and Jenna's relationship to push her closer to Jesus. I desire that, but it's not like my responsibility. Now, if that didn't happen, then she should break up with me. You know, like like straight up, like if like so it's not.
That's funny.
But if we're married, it's not like it's not like she divorced me or something, because that's not happening. We'd have to figure that out. Like that'd be a problem, which is why you marry the right person. So like, but if you're dating, that's not like, in dating, there is no responsibility on either party spiritually. Like that is actually just something you evaluate. Am I getting closer to Jesus because of this relationship? You don't start like telling this person, hey, like tell me what you're reading in the Word every day so that I can keep you accountable to doing that. No, like if they hate reading the Bible, then that's a problem, you know. Like if they struggle to read the Bible, but the desire is there, you don't necessarily break up over that. But this is just like stuff that you like take note of, and you're like, hey, like if I can be a proponent, then put yourself in a position to be a proponent of their faith. But that's not your responsibility, you know. Like, don't the husband is not the head of the wife in a dating relationship, meaning the boyfriend is not the head of the girlfriend. That's not reality at all. God does not look to any spiritual authority in a dating relationship whatsoever. You're both single in his eyes.
Where'd you think I was going?
Are you asking because you forgot?
Yeah.
Let's see. You asked if we think that the girl should anybody should have the emotional burden. Oh yeah, you were saying that you don't think you should also be in a dating relationship to push somebody further, get somebody more on fire for God.
Oh yes. I was saying with the potential aspect, it's like women I feel like are so
We know a lot of people too.
Like bless women's heart, because the girls just look at guys and they see so much potential. And
Facts.
I think that is honestly like, you love, like there's a reason why there is a word that like smitten, like you're so infatuated with somebody, you're like head over heels, you're like dumbfounded by what's in front of you. That is why it's also so important also when you're gonna get into a relationship with somebody, literally ask, like if you're friends with their friends, ask their friends like what fruit they see in his life or her life, or even just like evaluate like what fruits do you see in his life. Do you feel like he's leading other people towards Christ? Do you feel like he's doing the things that God commands us to do? Like simple things that you would know if you read your Bible. Like is he actively portraying those things? Or she, you know, talking about both. But I was saying like I just think women, like it's so easy for some reason for women to see potential in men who like the potential's not there yet. But then in men who potential is there, it's so hard for women to be like, oh, this is the person. It's like women, speaking of experience, I'm speaking of myself. It's like so much easier to like find somebody as like a problem and then try to fix them versus finding somebody who's already fixed on Jesus that you're going to run to Jesus faster together.
Probably because it's humbling. Because you're like, oh, wait, I don't like the fact that I had just thrown my hands up and like go along for the ride. Like,
well, do you know why? Because that's one of the ways that God has gifted woman in being able to see the like I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's genuinely one of the best gifts. Like, and why like women don't understand how much impact they have on a man, whether it be in a dating relationship, whether it be in engagement and marriage. And obviously that level varies based on which stage that you're in or whatever, what process you're in, whatever. But like women, they're so good at that. But you have to think about it. Hey, I want to be that visionary. I want to be that encourager for my husband. I don't want to just be that for any other man, especially not a man who's going to push me and build me up in return. So you cannot, unequally yoked does not just mean Christian versus non-Christian. It means that, hey, if you love your word, if you're in your word, if you love evangelizing, if you love being bold in your faith, and you're dating a man or a girl or a female who doesn't want to be seen around church, I don't know why I said that, who doesn't want to be seen around church, who doesn't know a single Bible verse, who doesn't know any of this stuff, who doesn't want to be around any stuff, that's a red flag. Like, I like specifically for me, like I'm wanting to go into ministry. If Kimmy was like, if she was just like, hey, I just want to be a quote unquote basic Christian, like I want to read my Bible, go to church, pray, but like, well, that's what people want to be like I don't even want to call it lukewarm Christian because people overplay it. No, just like thank you, maybe lose my word. Just like under the fairway Christian. Like they like if what golf, what is it, a par 3? That means you want to get in 3, right? They want to be like a par 3 type Christian where it's like, okay, I'm not going to push myself. I'm not going to do this, but I just want to like fly under the radar, kind of just be like a good Christian, be a good man, have a good family, kind of pursue the American dream, do my job, whatever. Like, that's not attractive. That shouldn't be attractive as a Christian who's on fire, wanting to grow closer to God. Because how is that person who's wanting to be an undercover Christian ever going to push me in my faith? And that's the most important part of a marriage, to sanctify, to edify one another, to edify God's church, and to exemplify his love for the church. And so you can't do that and you shouldn't do that. But that's one of the greatest ways that God uses women. And I'm sure like Caleb, even like in his dating relationship, he is like started to see beginnings of this where it's like, man, Jenna builds me up in a way that like no other woman could. And even like no other way a guy could, even if I've known that guy for a long time. And then with you, like obviously with us being engaged and soon to be married, I've seen that so much in you, and I've seen that how that I don't know if you've seen it, but the impact that has on me in my life, and motivation or discipline or growth or sanctification, all of that. Like God has gifted you with that. So be a good steward of that, and don't just go around saying, hey, I'm going to work on any old project, like pattern over potential. But you also, like, that's a good thing to recognize and be like, hey, I want to see that, and I want to encourage and build up my husband by using that gift.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
All right, let's get into the like specific hows. We want to get into the do nots, do's. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Okay, some do nots. You should not be sleeping together or playing house for that matter. Like literally what I said, just what I said earlier. Like I feel like I touched on this. Like your boyfriend is not your fiance is not your husband. So let's keep the sectors separate. And like that's a way of honoring God, because you are using your self-control. Being in a relationship is like so tempting in so many different ways, like just beyond sexual temptations. Like it's other ways tempting. Like you will fantasize about your future, about having kids, about all these other things. And it's like that is so tempting to just be like plan out this whole marriage and whatever in your head. It's like you have to not even give physical temptation to that, of like, don't move in with your spouse so that you're not playing house, or not your spouse. You should move in with your spouse. Don't move in when you're dating or a fiance so you're not playing house together, so your mind can also not go there. And then you don't cross physical boundaries and temptations. Like just stuff like that. I feel like that's just honoring the Lord. That's like basic things. And your relationship, whoever, like the guy or the girl should not pressure you into doing that. Like that also should show you that this person's heart is not for the Lord. Because I've thought about times where me and Ezekiel have like had talks, and it's like if I tell Ezekiel like this is something that is like a boundary or whatever, he'll be like, oh, but like we're not doing this, or we're not gonna say this to each other or whatever, like through different stages of our relationship. It's like that is so respectable. That's self-control. That's also showing you their fruit in them, that they are pursuing the Lord, because they now are respecting you and your relationship with the Lord. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
What the question I would have for you, and actually the first thing that I would say is the boundary that comes to mind the most is like when we started dating again, and Kimmy's boundary was, hey, I don't
again.
Yeah, and I was like, you go to our testimony for that if you want to listen to that. And you were like, hey, I don't want to kiss until we get engaged. So we didn't kiss until we get engaged. Nothing's wrong with that.
Zeke hated
Nothing's
it.
wrong with different boundaries. I wouldn't say I hated it, but I was definitely I was definitely really annoyed. I was definitely really annoyed. I'll say that. But yeah, anyway, so what do you think the biggest pitfall people, like name maybe just one biggest pitfall that somebody falls into when they have that mentality of playing house? Like what's something that you've seen in the world, something that you think is an issue with that? Like the biggest issue with that?
With playing house?
Yeah, playing house or whatever else.
I feel like just kind of what I've been saying.
Okay.
It's like you're treating somebody as something that they're not. And why would you do that? Because let's say you live together and then you break up. Okay, well now you have this whole new perception that you're going to lay on somebody else's shoulders because you already did that with somebody else. Like you have this like preconceived notion where I'd rather just not have that at all, or not even like give that a thought, so that when I do have a spouse and I move in with them, now it's just like everything's clear slated. Like you have no basis, and you're both going into it just being like completely washed. That's what I would say.
It's you're trying to get committed before commitment, and that can absolutely blur and add confusion to it. If you see something that's not good, or you see an incompatibility either in their direction, your direction, or maybe just like something's off spiritually, whatever it is. If you move in with, you need to limit doing things that make it feel impossible to break up. So the two things that you just said of don't do this in a dating relationship, those are two things that make it feel impossible to break up with somebody. Sleeping with them and moving in with them are the two easiest things you can do to end up staying with somebody that you should not be with.
Even if you recognize it yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially sleeping together, you are becoming physically addicted to a person. That is sex. Like we talked about that in the porn episode. Like you are actually like your brain is bonding yourself to your environment, namely your boyfriend or girlfriend, when you're having sex with them. If you do that consistently and you think that you're going to be able to see something wrong with them and then break up with them, there are so many testimonies of people who stay with somebody who's abusing them or hurting them because they're having sex. They don't know it's because they're having sex because they don't know any better. But I'm telling you right now, if you're in a relationship with somebody and it's not good, you're full of anxiety about it all the time, like they don't treat you well, they don't love you well, and you're having sex with this person, I'm telling you right now that you're only still in that relationship because you're having sex with them. That is why you're in that relationship. And I've heard women too talk about potential, and they're talking about potential, but they're having sex with this person. If you weren't having sex, you wouldn't care about no potential. You break up with them, like straight up. Like that's what would happen. But you're bonding yourself to this person. So playing house does the same thing. Like you're committing. That's a big commitment to live with somebody. That's big. That's a big commitment to live with somebody. So now you just put the barrier to breaking up like on a roof. No pun intended. Like, so
this guy.
I didn't mean to do that. But seriously though, like you just made it infinitely harder to break up with this person. So if you see something wrong, then it just like, what are you gonna do? Like move out? Like that's the thing.
And it's also like if you're, the whole keyword in that is like playing house. Like you're acting as something that you are not. Like it's literally in the verbiage. But if you're living with somebody, you're sleeping with somebody, and you're not engaged, what makes you think, like I've heard this from women, like what, as like a girl, what makes you think that he is gonna take another step of commitment? Like he has everything he wants. He's living with you, he's sleeping with you, like you're satisfying him, and you think, and you want a ring.
There's no incentive for commitment.
There's nothing that you're gonna like. It sounds so depressing and sad, so I'm saying this with love, but like there's nothing else that you could offer him, because people who don't, this is talking about people who don't want to commit though. Like if this person doesn't want to commit, you're giving them everything that they want.
Yeah.
So why would they want a ring on their finger that adds like legal fees in their eyes? Like when I've heard that from some people, they just don't want to get married because it's a legal issue. I'm like, so you're already planning for divorce is what you're saying. Get out of there, run. Like, why are they already thinking about divorce when you're not even married? That should be your first sign too. So don't play house, don't sleep together. That's like just absolute no's. And even I feel like secular people could agree with that to a certain extent. I honestly feel
they should. I feel like our reasoning wasn't even necessarily spiritual. Like,
I mean, I think a lot of people around the world would, but like America, like I'll be honest, I think America's just cooked where I wouldn't even say that anymore. Like nowadays, I just see so much in the world when it comes to relationships or marriages. There's a reason why the country has a divorce rate of like 50+%. Like, are we serious? Like people don't think this way. Even the people in our generation don't think this way. Like I know a lot of kids who, I mean, not a lot of kids, a lot of people, even in my high school, you had people at your high school who had kids when they were in school. And like, it's like you're allowing all of this stuff. And the biggest problem with this whole playing house thing is you're building something, you're starting something on a foundation that's easily broken and easily shaken. The reason why this stuff is safe in the confines of marriage is because divorce is not and should not be an option. So when we have sex, when we have kids, when we live together, when we sign a house together, when we sign a lease together, it's safe and it's protected because even if we want to, even if we were upset at each other for a day, we're not going to break that. We're not going to go out of bounds and start sleeping with other people, having sex with other people, or breaking up or getting rid of this and having to go through all these issues because we're built on a firm foundation, one that isn't just with us. It's not just this, oh, Kimmy, I'm giving you this promise ring, so it's fine if we have sex now, right? Because I'm promising. Like, that's what a lot of people say and do. But no, it's because I'm making a commitment to you and I'm ultimately making a commitment to God, the most important part part of of a marriage, making that commitment to God. That's why it's called a covenant. And so you're building something on a foundation that's easily shakeable. And then people run into all these issues and they're surprised, like, oh wow, this or that. And the next thing I'll say is a do not, and I want you guys' opinion on this. Do not date for I want to say a year, but this isn't like a hard cut. Do not date for like, especially I would say there's an exception if like you're in high school and that's a whole different thing. But like if you
don't date in high school.
Yeah, that's why I said that's different. I don't think you should be dating, especially in like college or like later, for more than 2 years without like being like, okay, I'm serious, without being like, okay, I'm gonna like marry this person. We're like thinking about this plan. There's people that have been even Christians. Why are you dating for 5 years? Why are you dating for 10 years? It's like you're just stalling a breakup at this point. Like, why are we dating for this long without, like, it's either a commitment issue, like I don't know what it is, but why are we dating for that long? And then when people like even that aren't Christian, they do this where they play house. They don't get married because the person is like, hey, like, I don't get what the point of the commitment is. It's just like, what's the point then? Like, why are we dating and why am I just sitting in this? Because that's the people. That's the people that like view it as a destination where, hey, we're here, we've made it. It just doesn't make sense. But I'm curious what you guys like would say. You don't think, and not a hard cut up, but you don't think people should date for longer than.
There are so many circumstances where there are things that make a relationship go faster and slower. For example, distance makes it feel like it's going a lot slower. I tell you that from experience right now. So
slower in what sense?
Like the cumulative amount of time I've spent with Jenna is equal to that of like you two in like 3 weeks, straight up. I believe that.
So you're like, saying you feel like you are progressing slower? What do you mean?
Yes. Okay. Because think about where y'all were at 3 weeks into the relationship. Like that's where me and Jenna are at 4 months in because of distance. Yeah. Like in the sense in purely time spent together. You know. Yeah. So because of that, like there, like I still think you don't want to date forever, and and we've had communication in between seeing each other, so it's not literally like that. It's not the same. So that's not a fair comparison entirely. But I will say, yeah, like if there is a practical reason you cannot get married right now, that's the exception. Like practically. But if you're dating for an extended period of time to figure it out, and you need to date for more than 2 years to figure it out, I agree with you. But if there's a practical reason, like we can't like make a blanket statement because I'm sure there's many practical reasons someone cannot get married in a specific time frame. But I will say, in terms of me trying to understand if I actually want to marry this person, like aside all external circumstances aside, do I want to marry this person? If you need more than 2 years to do that, then you're dating wrong in the sense that you're not dating intentionally. Yeah. You're not dating in a way that's actually allowing you to get to know this person on a deeper level and experience them and like see the fruit of their life and whatnot.
Yeah. I would also say, like, on top of that, I mean, I think Philip Anthony Mitchell said this too, but like the goal is holiness, not like how, and we've said this too, not how close you can get to the line. So if you're dating for like years and years and years, like you're just, I feel like walking closer and closer,
miserable,
like just walking closer and closer to the line,
because you're getting more emotionally invested in a person that you can't act on physically at all. Right? Like that's real.
It's like, what do I do?
Exactly. And then you just have to have self-control, and like, so if you have good boundaries up, because that's the thing, if Christians date the way they date, meaning Christians set up boundaries so that we don't sin, so that we stay in right fellowship with God. So if you have good boundaries up, you shouldn't feel great about dating for 5 years, because you're going to want to be more invested in this person than you can be because of boundaries. The closer you get emotionally to somebody, you get to know them deeper, you find more safety, more trust, you want to be more physically intimate, but you can't because you set up boundaries. That's a good thing, because it causes you to continue to only like value emotionally what this person is offering right now and spiritually what this person is offering right now, so you don't get that clouded by sex.
Yeah.
So then you can only continue to deepen your understanding of this person emotionally, spiritually, without the cloud of sex. Now, when you add sex into marriage, it's not a cloud anymore because you've already figured out what you need to emotionally, spiritually, so it can only aid into your intimacy at this point. So that's why it's a good thing to abstain from that. That's why Christians abstain from that in a relationship. Because and I honestly think that non-Christians should agree with me on that, is that if you want to know whether or not you're emotionally compatible with someone, don't have sex with them. Like, just hang out with them and continue to get to know them deeper, and you will realize like their faults and not have rose-colored glasses on because of how much you love their sex. So I think non-Christians should agree with that. Christians do it because God told us to, and because of that. But I think God told us to because of that reason that I just gave you. So it set up good boundaries, like, and be closer to holiness than the line, you know?
Yeah, everything that we've been saying is widely applicable to Christians, non-Christians alike, but specifically if you're a non-Christian that's listening to this, and maybe you're like, hey, I want to start thinking about God. I want to start thinking about relationship with God. Like, should I start implementing this in my relationship? We talk about sex. We talk about looking at a guy. And I say this specifically because I've just seen this, I feel like, the most in the world, or even just with people I know, where it's like the girl that like starts to come to Christ and she's just like, oh, but like the guy's not there, the guy doesn't care about it or whatever. Like, I strongly believe you need to start implementing this stuff in your relationship, because you are going to be so, like, you're telling me you're wanting to start a relationship with God, but then like at the end of the day, you're constantly going and like continuing to merge yourself and fuse yourself to this person spiritually and physically, and then expect that to come easy. And so I would just encourage you to like test out, try some of these boundaries and say, hey, even like from a secular standpoint, if I'm not considering Christianity, is this helping? Is this benefiting my relationship? And if you're thinking about or pursuing Christ and your man or whatever like isn't, then you should break up. And if you're not considering Christ and you're just trying to implement this stuff in your relationship, you should highly consider, if you don't think he's living up to the potential, like, you need to take this stuff away, because why is the man going to go for or do anything else, especially we talk about being the encourager or somebody who sees the potential in a man, when he's getting everything else that he wants or needs and he's just getting consistency and the sameness. Like, you have to actually go out of your way to implement stuff, put up boundaries, put up walls to make the relationship what you want it to be.
Yeah. Honestly, like, in terms of a process, in terms of what you should be doing, like, I'm gonna speak to the men quick. I'm not perfect, and I've definitely made mistakes in dating and relationships and how I treated relationships, friendships with women, all that. But I would do what I did again, and I would tell men to do this. And when you're pursuing somebody, one, like, is pursue somebody. So like, in terms of how I think Christians should date, and if you're non-Christian listening to this, honestly, give it a try. And maybe this will bring you to Jesus, because you'll realize how good this is and how amazing of a way this is to date.
Then they'll have to break up with the girl because she's not Christian.
Go date a Christian. Oh, actually, because they wouldn't want to do it. Never mind. Just
Islamic.
Give your life to,
Zeke, can we repeat?
all right, bottom line, give your life to Jesus. So
It makes everything easier for real.
once you've done that, like if you're a dude, like, go find, like, hang out with people, be social, like, whatever. If you want to find like, but if there's a girl in your life that you want to pursue, don't be passive, pursue her. So ask her on a date. You can ask it early. You don't need to hang out as friends for months before you ask somebody on a date.
Please
and
don't.
that date, in this date, like, you communicate that it's low pressure and that you're just trying to get to know each other and that there's not commitment associated with the date. So you ask them on a date, and on that date, you ask intentional questions, get to know them, maybe talk about your testimonies, how you came to the faith. If you like that, continue going on dates and initiate this stuff with her. Make her feel pursued, meaning make her feel secure in the fact that you see something in her that's valuable. And eventually it comes to the point where you get to know her deeper and deeper, and you realize, like, I love her because she's her. Like, like, and you say, like, okay, like, I want to commit into a relationship with you where we can commit to getting to know each other on a personal level, where we're not just going on dates, but we put a label on it. I like calling that boyfriend, girlfriend. Do whatever you want. I think you should. Like, you have to say that because there's different cultures, different contexts, whatever. So I'm just saying, like if, like, you can do that, you cannot do that, but, like, commit, like, voice commitment, voice wanting to commit to get to know this person like deeper on a deeper level, and invite vulnerability through being vulnerable as a man, because that's the thing is many women won't open up to you because you are a wall. Like stop doing that. Like be vulnerable. I'm trying to learn how to do that better, honestly, in my own. That's one thing that God is teaching me through Jenna in my relationship is like I could be more vulnerable and I could definitely like introspect more, open up more. So be that so that your girlfriend can feel secure and safe in the relationship. Set up as the man, set up good boundaries. Like make sure that she knows that you value her purity. So she doesn't have to like, don't give her the burden of worrying about being pure. Just take on the burden and set up good boundaries and say, this is what I think we should do. What do you think? And hold true to those. Don't be the person that fails on the boundaries. Like we've all been there. Like we've all done that. Like, but that doesn't mean you run back to that. That means you change. And so I think it's good to pursue dating like that. Like don't be unintentional. And if you're a Christian, the reason why this is important is because you're trying to figure out if you're going to marry this person. So does a woman want to marry a passive man that doesn't really know what he wants, that doesn't really like love the woman for who she is? Like, no. So voice those things.
Yeah. Oh.
You want to say something?
Okay. After you.
Well, one thing that I want to put up as a reference again, we talked about it in the first episode, but I want to make it clear again. The book Single, Dating, Engaged, Married is so good.
Ben Stewart.
Yeah, by Ben Stewart. And one of the things that he says in it, he talks about there's references, there's statistics, there's papers, there's all this type of stuff. There's like real studies and just observations that he's made from his experience, and then also just learning from that type of stuff. But one of the things that he says is that clarity is one of the most undervalued and appreciated things when it comes to dating and when it comes to being in a relationship, because you'll be a guy, you'll be a girl, and you guys might hang out once, then you might hang out twice, you might hang out 3 times. Maybe you didn't put a label as a date on it, maybe whatever. And it allows anxiety to come into a relationship, because now the girl's like, okay, like, are we like committed? The girl, and girls tend to feel more committed faster than guys. And so clarity is extremely important. So what's important, what Caleb was saying is that, hey, I'm going to intentionally say this. I'm going to set this standard. I'm going to say, hey, this date, like it's not committal. I just want to get to know you a bit. And then like actually say, this isn't like some type of like official legalistic thing, but people do like hearing this. People don't like hanging out and going on dates for months, especially not months, even weeks sometimes, hanging out with the person exclusively and then not having a label on it. It's not because it's this legalistic thing, but it's because, hey, I'm committing to this person, and it's giving the other person security. So clarity and communication is one of the biggest things, especially on the guy standpoint, and it should come from the guy. And then girls, like, it was actually really funny because he was saying in it how he was talking to girls and women, and they were like, yeah, I just don't get it. Like, he just stopped doing this or whatever. And then he would talk to the guys, and the guys were like super committed, and they were all in, and they were communicating. But then the girls never made it clear in return that they liked the guy, because they were like, oh, I have to do the chase and make it mysterious and everything like that.
Horrible.
Like, I know, like, don't listen to those movies and stuff like that. Like, don't do that. And as a guy, don't do that either. Girls like it when you're intentional, when you go up to them, when you compliment them. And also, like, I'll just say that this is a personal thing. I don't think you should ask somebody out on like Snapchat. Like, when you ask for somebody's contact, ask for their number. Like if you're just friends or whatever, you want their Instagram, that's fine. But if you're wanting to consider going out with somebody or ask somebody, ask them in person if you can. But if not, ask for their phone number. But clarity is so important on both sides. Guys, you have to communicate clearly, say what you want. And then girls, you also have to be there to communicate and be clear, like, hey, I'm actually interested in this, because it will also drive a guy crazy, being like, hey, like, I don't know this or I don't know that. So another thing that he recommended was just like following up, being like, hey, I really enjoyed our date. Would you consider going another? Stuff like that is really helpful. Otherwise, I hear, man, countless girls at Edgewood, they're like, oh my gosh, we went on a date, but I haven't heard back, and I shouldn't text him because he should be the one that texts me first. And it's this whole chasing and whatever thing. It's
they're
just like,
used to having to do that. It's not good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was going to say, from a girl's perspective.
Oh, snap.
That if you...
We don't care.
I'm kidding. If you cannot discern if a guy is pursuing you, like, this is gonna be so harsh, but I think
you're right.
I'm like take him off the roster, because I'm just like,
wait, roster is crazy. Roster's crazy.
Not like as in like,
I know what
you know what I mean?
Not option,
but like,
I know
what you're
just
saying.
take him out of an option, because if he doesn't even have the discernment to make it clear to you that he's pursuing you, like just assume that you're open to anybody else who's pursuing you too, and like I think especially that's when like the worldliness creeps in, where like maybe you mention another person, like another guy around this person, and then he starts to pursue you. Hello, that is like, that also to me is like kind of sketchy and really weird, because it's like now he's gonna start pursuing you because you mentioned that you wanted somebody else. Like that to me is just like super fishy and weird. So I would just say, like, if he doesn't make it clear to you, just assume no. Like, stop stressing about it.
Yeah.
You should be so consumed by the Lord and his presence and furthering your relationship to him and trusting God that he will align, like the same spirit that rose Jesus from the dead is in me and any other believer. So trusting that like the Lord will lead this person to find you at this time, that you won't have to discern for yourself if he's pursuing you. Like, he should make that so obviously clear. Like, me and Zeke started dating a week after we met. Like, it wasn't, and I didn't have to discern, oh my gosh, does he like me or not? Like, it was very clear. It was very to the point. And it was just like, okay, great. Like, he likes me. We're dating, yada, yada, yada.
We talked one time and then I asked you on a date.
Yeah. So I would say that's a really, like, really good point for women.
If you're the guy, if you're the girl, I just want to emphasize, if he is making it clear he's pursuing you, then please make it,
on that, if he is making it clear to the studio, like something just out of experience with Ezekiel and I, okay?
Oh boy.
Prayer should be your very first thing in a relationship. That's what I heavily believe, because when you are just like, oh, I really want to like date this person, he is pursuing me, he's doing all the right things, that could still not be in the Lord's plan for you right now. Like, that could heavily be the case.
Yeah.
Pray, fast on it. Like, seek the Lord so much so.
Right person, wrong time.
Where literally you have no doubt of discernment if like this person is, you want to date this person, or if the Lord wants you to step into that. Because sometimes you're so blindsided by like not being ready to date that you're mistaking your flesh with God's spirit, which is just not the case whatsoever. And it's so hard to do that when you're constantly consuming media, you're not seeking the Lord, you're eating like all of these things, like literally strip your flesh so much so that you are literally only able to hear from the Lord, so that when you go into this, you prayerfully went through it. And on top of that, ask him before he asked you out. Say, did you pray about this? Did you seek wisdom and guidance from this? See if he even talked to anybody about it who's older than him, to see if this was even like something that he felt like the Lord was leading him into. Because again, we act out of our flesh, and it's so stupid, and it feels like something that's like so obvious, but it's just so of the flesh where we just go with it, you know?
Yeah. Well, honestly,
what are you gonna say?
No, because I was just trying to think if I agree with that last part or not.
Which part?
Only because like I think of, and maybe this isn't the best case to make, but I think of so many like amazing marriages that like are very godly marriages, or how just like guys meet girls a lot of the time. It's like, hey, I saw that person, like she's beautiful, so I went over and talked to her. Like, not necessarily, oh, I prayed, and then God like pointed at her from an angel, or like lit her name up in a prophecy. So that's the only thing where I was like, and I don't think that's necessarily a fleshly thing, so I was trying to consider that, but I just thought that there'd be a lot of people that heard what you said, and it'd be like, oh, so like if I'm gonna ever ask a girl out or go talk to a girl or whatever, like obviously yes, you should be praying, but like in that case,
I totally disagree with you.
Really?
That this is the most important thing for the rest of your life. Why would you not take that as the most serious thing that you want to pursue? Like, I don't want to take that lightly, and I don't want the man who's following after me to take that lightly either. Like,
well, but that's the thing. People place like, and Christians are extremely guilty of this. They like place so much emphasis on dating, and then they act out of fear. They operate out of fear, whatever else you want to call it. Whereas like as a Christian, dating, well, and just in general, but especially as a Christian, dating should be the most literally like unburdensome, like light, like whatever you want to call it, like portion. I think like dating should be the most nonchalant thing, only in the sense of, hey, I'm not supposed to be placing this crazy emphasis on it where I'm being anxious about this, or I'm like, hey, is this the exact right person that God lit up? Is this my soulmate? Because I don't think that's biblical. But so I'm saying that there's so many Christians that get so caught up in like, hey, we have to take this like so seriously immediately. And yes, dating is serious because it's meant to lead towards marriage. But I'm just saying that like sometimes people take like the everyday out of it. Like I'm saying, I know so many, and you could disagree with it, that's fine. But I know so many really godly marriages where even Ben Stewart, I'm pretty sure how he met his wife, like he just saw her and he was like, wow, she's beautiful. And he went over and talked to her.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm saying that type of stuff. I know so many Christians that would never do that because they're like, whoa, like I have to go home and like pray first and like read my Bible first and talk to my pastor first. And it's like, that's fine if it comes to like you discerning if I'm going to put a label on this, but that shouldn't prevent you from like taking a step, because I think
that's
Christians,
what I am talking about. Though.
Okay,
I'm talking about when you're like gonna enter into a dating relationship.
I'm pro. I don't see why you wouldn't pray. I mean, like, yeah, it doesn't.
I'm
mean
not saying you have to do like weeks of fasting.
It doesn't mean you
fast a
sit
day
and
or
wait
something.
until God tells you something necessarily. But
Yeah,
just
I
pray
don't
about
think
it.
that-
God,
yeah.
I want to just do what you want me to do. It's just right timing. God might expose something about yourself that causes you to be like, oh, I probably shouldn't do this right now.
Mhm.
It's not that he is going to say yes this person or no this person. He might say no, like, why are you pursuing this right now? You know, so
Yeah, there was a sermon that I sent Zeke that's like about God's timing, and in it, you can correct me, Zeke, for the part, but he was talking about how like when you cook chicken and you take it out too early and you serve it to people, you're gonna make the people sick, and that can be like the same circumstance as sometimes like we rush God's timing where then we're making other people sick. Like for example, I feel like that was me and Zeke's relationship where it's like love ya, but like Ezekiel took the chicken out too early and like I ate it and we both got sick off of that. Like it sounds so stupid, but it's
No,
like
just the way
so
that you said
true.
that we
Yeah.
ate it.
It's just like so true though, because like God's timing is his perfect timing. And like I'm not saying, like I said that with seriousness, but I'm not saying you should over stress about specifically doing God's will and doing everything perfectly. Like I'm just saying, if God is the greatest thing in your life, you should literally consult the greatest thing in your life, who literally planned your life and has a plan for your life about the rest of your life with one person.
yeah.
That doesn't mean you have to like, you see a cute girl, you have to like maybe immediately pray and then go like talk to her. I'm not saying it has to be like a whole fast before you reach out to her, but I'm saying if you're getting into a serious relationship with somebody, like engagement or even talking about dating, like that should be something you seek wise counsel on. Like asking your friends, especially like, hey, do you think I'm in a series of my life or whatever? And have you seen the fruitfulness of me to be able to date? Like they know you. If they're your friends, they're your closest people. Like what characteristics of God do you see in me? Like even asking that to the person you want to pursue, to yourself, of like, what characteristics do I love most about God and value most about God or see most in God? Make a list. Then look at this person. It's not even to compare this person to God because nobody can compare to God, but it's even just saying like, does this person have these characteristics of God that I really admire and that I enjoy and see? And if they don't, I'm not saying you should like ditch them, but I'm saying like maybe that isn't then something that you want to pursue
Yeah.
or like allow pursue you, I guess. Because maybe you'll just notice that maybe they aren't mature in their faith as much as you wanted them to be. So
There's something you said earlier that I think if we're gonna start wrapping this up, I think there's like one key thing you said like 10 minutes ago with security in Jesus. And like honestly, like I made a lot of statements about like Christians date weird because blank. But honestly, like you can tie it all back to Christians dating weird because they have ultimate security in Jesus. So if you as a listener can't imagine doing something we said, like you can't imagine setting up a boundary of no sex, you can't imagine not moving in with them to figure out if I can marry them, you know. if you can't imagine doing that and you have a lot of anxiety about like what it would take for you to actually lay down those desires, like the reason why you struggle with that and I don't is because for me, like I'm fully secure in my relationship with Jesus and I trust that as long as I got that and as long as me and him are good and we have a good fellowship and as long as I can still speak to him, which is always the case, then I'm going to be okay. So like, so even if like there is some level of added anxiety by not acting married, because when you don't act married, now there's a lot of unknowns of like when I am married to this person, what is it going to look like? Like you really want me to commit to this person without ever having sex with them, without ever living with them, without like you really want me to do that? Like what's going to happen to my life? What if something's wrong? It's like I'm not going to stress about that because I have a beautiful fellowship with Jesus. And if the person I'm dating has a beautiful
Hopefully,
fellowship
yeah.
with Jesus, you know, if the person I'm dating values that as well, then we're going to be just fine because both of us are fully secure in our relationship with him. So, and the reason why we're fully secure in that is because we have eternal life. We're not going to be married in heaven. We're not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like this relationship and this marriage better just be something that actually pushes me towards that eternal goal of heaven and bringing other people into that.
Yeah.
That's what, when we talk about
Amen.
marriage as a ministry, what we're saying is like your marriage is advancing the kingdom of God. Like somehow through your marriage, people are coming to know Jesus. Whether it's because of people seeing how you treat each other and they're like, wow, what's different with them? They know Jesus. Or it's because you literally are going and talking to people as a married couple and bringing them to Jesus.
Yeah.
Whatever it looks like, that ultimately is what matters. So you and the person you're dating need to have ultimate security in being indwelt with the Holy Spirit, being known by God, like being loved by him. Like find your security in that before you start dating, ideally. If that happens while you're in a dating relationship, or you just come to know like a deeper sense of that while you're in a dating relationship, that's fine. But like the more secure you can be in Christ, the better.
Yeah.
It will, because it alleviates anxiety. So you won't have dating anxiety the way you used to if you're fully secure in Jesus. It's what brings me back. If I ever have
Amen.
anxiety of any sort, stress of any sort, in a dating relationship, if I like, what brings me back is not necessarily always something that she can say, and not something that I can realize about our relationship, but ultimately me being like, wait, like I have a relationship with the God who created the universe. He wants to be in fellowship with me. I have a spot in the kingdom of heaven already. I'm good. Why, can anything really bother me? No.
Yeah.
Like,
That's so good.
One of the craziest things I think is no matter if you're a Christian or not, both people are equally guilty of this. There's never going to be a place or a spot that you are in at your life. You can think you're ready, you can think you're there, whatever, where a relationship is going to complete you. What Caleb is saying and what we're getting at, the whole theme, the whole overarching theme of this is that you need Jesus and that void in you. It could be a physical void, it could be an emotional void, whatever else it is. Like, and Christians are especially guilty of this. Like, hey, I'm doing good in my life. Like, I'm a Christian, I'm on fire for God, but I need a relationship. You're saying that God isn't enough for you. And that's just not the case. God completes me. I'm a whole person. Kimmy and I aren't two halves joining together when we get married. We're two full people made in the image of God that are children of God, that have a spot, an inheritance in the kingdom of heaven, that are coming together. I'm not missing a part of me. Like, I know that's a common thing that people say in poetry and love and romance. Oh, I found the person that completes me. Kimmy does not complete me. But what Kimmy does is she compliments me, she encourages me, vice versa. One of the main goals of a relationship is for God using each other to help fulfill their purpose. So the purpose that and the calling that God has put on Kimmy's life, part of my role is to help her fulfill that and do that to the best of her ability as possible, and vice versa. And that's one of the most amazing things about being in a relationship. And a relationship is quite honestly dangerous when you're not in a good position with God. Whether you're a non-Christian, whether you're a Christian and you're just not there yet, you need to be fully content with God before you get into a relationship. And I wasn't, and that's why a relationship was a wreck. It was bad. When I said we started dating again, it's because obviously we broke up. There are so many things that went wrong for many different reasons. I did not do a lot of the stuff that we said we should. And so, guys, you need to be content with God. You need to be good and firm in your relationship with God, because anything that you build, if Jesus is not the capstone, if he's not the center stone of it, could be a business, finances, relationship, whatever you want to call it, it's not going to withstand anything. And that's why in Ecclesiastes it says a cord of 3 strands is not easy to be broken, is because now Kim and I's relationship is built on God, built on Christ. And when we get married, it's not just built on Christ, but it's a promise made to Christ and each other. But
don't be selfish.
seriously, stop thinking about yourself.
Stop thinking about yourself in
For
a
real.
relationship. Come on now.
Stop thinking about yourself. Stop thinking about him.
if you need to think
Jesus.
about yourself more, you just need to think about how you're treating the other person, how you wouldn't want to be treated. That's the only thing you got to be thinking
For
about. Facts.
real.
But
This is a good episode.
Long.
sorry.
Very long.
The last thing I'll say.
Oh my
Sorry,
The last thing I'll say is that you need to stop evaluating if this other person is going to be ready or the perfect person for marriage, and you need to start looking at yourself, because I know a lot of people that are like, "Hey, I need the perfect person," but they're not ready for marriage. I did this. I'd be like, "Hey, Kimmy's got to work on some stuff," and then God reveals some stuff in my life, and it's like,
Prideful.
"Dang, Yeah, it's pride. So get in your word. The word is the mirror that reflects on you, shows you the word of God, reveals these things to you, convicts you. The Holy Spirit convicts you. That's why you got to pray. But yeah, evaluate yourself as well. Don't just evaluate the other person. Are you somebody that would want to be married and that God would honor stepping into marriage? But yeah.
Lit.
Thank you guys for listening to the Reconcile Room. Man, we love talking about dating if you can't tell. It's good. It's good.
Yep.
God gave us some crazy stories.
Hey, shout out. Can I say shout out Jenna? I just want to say that. Jenna, you're a trooper. You got to deal with somebody in dating.
Zeke, you always are hiding behind the mic.
I'm not. I just knelt down. I'm not. Hey, shout out Jenna. That's all I got to say. Kayla put her through a lot, and she. No.
Okay.
And
sorry, she left the shout out to me, but I would have said something nice.
Oh, say it. Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead, buddy.
Good.
What did he say?
Go ahead, buddy.
What did he say? What did he say?
You said you should have left a shout out to me. I would have said something nice.
No.
Dude, please say it, please. Hey,
no,
I apologize.
I'll text her. No, it's
no.
fine. No.
Dang, that's less personal. You need to work on that.
Whoa.
God said to work on
motivation.
Yeah, because I've never mentioned her on the podcast.
We will see you guys next week. Bye.
Hey, I like that.